The Nerd Academy podcast is released weekly at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, available on our website at www.thenerdacademypodcast.com and wherever you listen to podcasts. You can find the Nerd Academy podcast on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. You can also help support the show by going to patreon.com/The Nerd Academy podcast, where every donation allows us to bring you more exciting content every week.
Good morning, class, and welcome back to the Nerd Academy Movie Club, the show where your favorite nerds sit down and watch some movies. And we are continuing Star Wars month with Star Wars Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back. A little ditty that some of y'all might have heard about at one point or another. You know, little indie flick, sequel to another indie flick. Devin, continuing the story of this being the first real time you're watching the original trilogy. This was a moment. You had a good time. I was like, start to finish. I don't know if it was something like in the air the night that we were doing the commentary for A New Hope or like whatever it is. But with this movie, for some reason, just start to finish, I was totally glued. I was totally just taking in every single little thing. I was enjoying myself. I was laughing. I definitely had like several like, oh shit, and like just being loud and surprised and like feeling like a fan. Like that's the first time, like with Marvel movies, you see like big Easter eggs. Like the first time Red Skull appeared in like Infinity War, it's like, oh my god, like but like I don't usually have those moments with like Star Wars movies. Like when Darth Maul was alive, that was a big like, oh, like, but no, whenever like the one door's like, and it's just like the white dining room table and just like the all, you know, Vader doing his thing. There's a whole ass Darth Vader in the room. And like just like talk to the hand blaster. Actually, give me that blaster. And like that's mine now. Thank you. We would be delighted if you would join us or whatever. Like honored. I just like join us. And Boba just like mean mugging. Yeah, like no one. Like, I'd say he's arguably more important now than like Star Wars world than like whenever Empire Strikes Back came out. Just knowing how much more we know about him. Boba Fett was an amazing action figure. Yeah. And that is why everybody loved him for a very long time. And then there was like a whole lot of like, oh, is Boba Fett actually like is Boba Fett actually like so cool? Is he actually that cool? Because he doesn't really do anything. And like, you're gonna laugh your ass off when you see what happens to him in Return of the Jedi. But like there was like all this discourse about like, oh, is Boba Fett actually that cool? And then the Mandalorian comes out, and like it made me give a shit about Boba Fett. I thought because I did not give a damn about Boba Fett for the longest time. I just always knew like the name, the costume, and like his dad was a clone, or like the clone. His dad was the template for the clones. Correct. And like, I think that's freaking sick. Like, I thought he was so cool just because of like the way he would like just exist around Vader. Like as like a towering presence that Vader really is, and that he's still just like, this Han guy is worth a lot to me. And like Vader's just like, I understand. Like if he dies, like we'll pay. And like it's just like, oh, okay. Like if they're cool, like anyone Vader doesn't kill or like intimidates the shit out of, I have to assume has like stake in like what's going on. Like they're also important. So that made Boba super cool for me. But also just like, well, that's what I was talking about last week with the comic, where like when Darth Vader's like, I need to know who blew up the Death Star now. Boba Fett was one of the people who he was like, I want answers now. Mm-hmm. Go. Yeah. And then like, is it just the Empire has Boba Fett on speed dial? See, I told you trying to like straddle that thing.
It's
not
fine.
Easy.
It's
not
like
easy.
I can't even hear myself sometimes, but whatever. Hopefully it's working. But should I get to that?
Yeah, give us some numbers.
All right, guys, we got some numbers.
Space numbers.
Most of them you probably know. So Star Wars Empire Strikes Back came out May 21st, 1980. It's 2 hours, 7 minutes long. Stars Mark Hamill, Carrie Fisher, Harrison Ford, Billy D. Williams, James Earl Jones, and is directed by Irvin Kershner. Apparently an old buddy, old pal, instructor, pal to Mr. Lucas, which I think is super cool.
Yeah. Lucas went to Irvin Kershner. He was like, I think this is a movie you could do better than I could. And was very like, I would like you to do this. Story by Lucas.
Lucas directed the first one.
I can use that in very loose terms.
Okay. Well,
yeah, he directed it. A lot of it came down to the producer, Gary Kurtz, I believe it was, who because like George Lucas is infamously really bad at directing actors.
Okay.
Like infamously, like
he knows that.
They'll do a scene, and it's mostly his actors who make fun of him for it. Or they'll do a scene, and George Lucas will just kind of be like, "Oh, that was really good. I want you to do it again, but this time faster and more intense." And like that was the direction he gave everybody on the set of A New Hope, and everybody got to the point where like, George, what do you mean faster and more intense?
Yeah.
Like, do you just want to, all around?
Like, I need more, George.
Yeah, like so there came a point where like I want to say it was Gary Kurtz. Correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. I think I'm right, but I could be wrong. That he was basically the one who came in and would like actually give them some form of direction. Again, the fact that Star Wars, like A New Hope, turns out as good as it did was a miracle for a lot of reasons. But
did this dude do Return of the Jedi too?
Yeah.
Sorry. Wow. I hope so, because like I love this movie.
Irvin Kershner didn't direct Jedi. Oh shit, who did it? I can never. I want to say Richard Marquand. I think I'm wrong about that name.
You look it up. I got more numbers.
Yeah, keep telling numbers.
All right.
I know Marquand. I think that's it.
The movie has an 8.7 out of 10 on IMDb, a 94% on Rotten Tomatoes, which did not surprise me at all. The budget of this 1980 masterpiece was $33 million. Hey, you were right.
I was right. The name never sounds correct, but I was right.
Richard, cool guy. So yeah, budget of $33 million, turned that into a whopping $550.9 million. I don't know if that's like, it's always hard looking up older movies because like, especially like older popular movies because like inflation and then also like other things, but like estimated 550 million from the box office.
You know, here's the crazy thing that, and granted, again, like this is going off of like, I don't know if that is cumulative of like every time these movies have been re-released.
Yeah.
This is like the initial box office. I don't know what that number is specifically, but out of all of the Star Wars movies, I think, like adjusting for inflation and considering all of that stuff, the only movie to perform worse at the box office is Solo.
You mean like out of Star Wars movies, the one that performed the lowest? I'm not surprised.
Yeah, this is the lowest ranking one in the box office. Again, Solo might have beat it for the last place.
Oh wait, you're saying Empire Strikes Back made the least?
Is the all the way at the end of the pack in terms of box office.
What?
Yeah. This is why so many people, when like you have like all these people who've like made a career out of talking shit about The Last Jedi. How people always bring up the fact that like Empire Strikes Back was shit on when it first came out. Did not make the money that A New Hope did. Again, it made a shitload of money, just not as much as A New Hope. And you'd expect it to make more.
I don't understand. Like, I wonder what
and it
pissed everyone off.
Initially, it wasn't received as, critically as well because it was darker and it was, a little bit more intense and
darker. We literally had charred aunt and uncle and like A New Hope.
We see that
I get
for
like
a moment,
thematically,
but
it's
like
darker.
thematically, it's darker. Empire Strikes Back, even though like you can make an argument that we see two really intense acts of violence in A New Hope, being Uncle
Yeah.
Owen and Aunt Beru, and then the destruction of Alderaan. Like, there's something a lot more tangible about the violence in Empire.
You know what? That might be why I like this so much. Tangible is a really good word. It feels a lot more grounded. Not
like
grounded.
Luke with his hand.
Yeah, like Luke with his hand. Grounded is not the right word, but it's very like it's almost like a step closer to like realism as far as like the acting style went. Like I thought it was like a little different than A New Hope.
And I think you're starting to see what I was saying though, like with A New Hope, that like even though it's the movie that started it all, it feels weirdly both like central and disconnected from the rest of the franchise. Like there's so much of what Star Wars is like on like a molecular level of what Star Wars is rooted in A New Hope. But there's also so much shit that you never see or feel again from A New Hope.
So like Return of the Jedi thematically closer to Empire or
I think Jedi tonally, thematically is A New Hope and Empire had a baby.
Okay.
Because there's some really dark and intense shit in Jedi, but there's also like there's a reason why when Trump lost the election, everybody compared it to the end of Return of the Jedi. There's a reason why that joke was being made all over the internet.
I'm so curious. I want to just keep going, but like Empire Strikes Back. I loved this movie, dude. Like this is one that like as far as a Star Wars movie goes, I can see myself going out of my way to watch again. Thoroughly, start to finish, just like in the audio commentary, just said like how awesome it was just to see these characters like casually-esque doing things, ship repairs, future plans, banter, sass.
The way that everybody else in the Rebel Alliance is just used to Han and Leia screaming at each other in a hallway.
I like that at least like if it's been 3 years, like everyone's accustomed to it. Or like
that rebel who's just carrying a box who walks in between Han and Leia. Like he is the MVP of this movie. Like on just like a performance level.
I like the background guy with the ice machine.
Wilro Hood. Wilro Hood. Nothing but respect for Wilro Hood.
And a stormtrooper gets shot in the dick. Blatantly.
Just right in the dome.
I mean, like, it just looks like a firecracker went off.
See, now you look super washed out. The lighting.
You
see that happening? You see that happening where it's like changing? It's like the light's weirdly modulating.
Doesn't this look better already? Like,
yeah.
Just a little shift. I think you were just getting too much of my gloss and then like the pale as well.
I know. It's just like it's lighting up and then going back down and then lighting up and going back down. So apologies to everybody watching. We're still trying to figure out the new lighting situation, as some of you probably saw in the reflection of last week for our main feed and this week for our patrons episode of Nerd Academy. We got ring lights and it was reflecting in that TV, so I moved it around and now like we're trying to figure out the best angle for these new lights, trying to set up the second set as well.
There is no try. There's do.
You're so close.
Oh, damn it. What is it?
Try not.
Fuck.
Do or do not.
Of course
there is
it
no
is.
try.
Yoda's cracked out 900-year-old ass. Just
it's not crack, it's ketamine. Get it right.
Does he come back? Don't answer that. Anyways.
I Palpatine laughed. I didn't like that.
It's okay. I wanted to know, and then I was like, we're gonna be watching this next one so soon. But like, loved Yoda.
Good.
I like
anger.
He's not pessimistic,
but
you're good. He's not pessimistic. He's just like, you were right when you were just like, he has every reason to believe that this is like Anakin Vader 2.0. Like, I still don't get the decision to not tell him. That's like maybe it's not even a gripe, but like you got the Force ghost of Obi-Wan and like Yoda. And they're trying to like help you gain perspective on like the importance of the scenario without telling you like the scenario. And it's just it's like,
Do you want any enlightenment on this specific issue before we go into Jedi?
I mean, is there like a good reason they didn't say anything?
Absolutely, that is not a good reason that they give him.
I thought you were gonna be like, yeah, because if they knew he was their son, if they knew that they were his son, his children, there's two of them, like then like something would be messed up or whatever. But like Leia doesn't have to know. Cool, but like Luke, like parents and uncle charred, and then like you figure out he's Force sensitive.
Okay,
and it's starting to.
I'm gonna try to say this in the least like spoilery way.
Okay.
I don't want to take because like in the same way that like you seeing Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru was like unintentionally hilarious.
Yeah.
I think that we're gonna have a similar situation with whenever Obi-Wan kind of tries to like walk back everything he's been saying to Luke this whole time. So without spoiling,
the Force is very complicated.
So
like,
without spoiling the line of bullshit they keep feeding him, at the end of the day, they didn't think he was ready to know. And that at this juncture in his training, in his journey as a Jedi, that it would do him more harm than good. And that they never intended for him to be facing off with Vader this early.
I get that. I do.
And that they didn't want him to know until he was completely rooted in his Jedi teachings and would be able to kind of, in that very Jedi, at peace,
calm,
be like, okay,
processing.
This isn't great, but I'm here. I'm centered. I'm good. And they were right when they said you aren't ready to face him.
Yeah.
There was more than just you're going to lose a sword fight. It was you're going to learn some shit you're not ready to know yet, kid. And that is why there's such like a high level of like, you got to be careful what we tell this kid, So yeah, that is their reasoning. My version of their reasoning. When Obi-Wan starts talking to Luke about it, I think you're going to get viscerally angry in a hilarious way.
And I know me pretty well, so like that sounds accurate. Like I'm already like a little razzled about it.
Yeah.
Like, would you really rather have him leave this fucking swamp and like go get potentially killed by Vader than just like if you tell him like, oh, whatever. He lived, whatever. Moving on. I just didn't. It's like the one thing. Like
again, they will try to justify their decision.
Yeah, but you keep saying try, and it's just like it makes me like preemptively angry just because I know.
Here's what I will say, and I will say this in Obi-Wan and Yoda's defense.
Okay.
Some of the blame here is on Luke. Because telling him was a part of the plan.
Just whenever he was ready.
Whenever they were like, okay, sit down. You're not going to like this.
Just
but
Yoda and a couple Force ghosts. Like,
yeah. Bring Qui-Gon
breaking
in
the
for
ice.
this one. Yeah. So, again, can you completely justify their decisions here? I don't know. But Luke also made this situation more complex than it needed to be by going gung-ho after Vader. And I'm not necessarily saying he made the wrong decision. I'm just saying he put Obi-Wan and Yoda between a rock and a hard place. Where it's like, okay, he's like, I gotta go save my friends from Darth Vader. You mean your dad? Fucking what? And and then at that point, now he's carrying that knowledge into fighting Vader to save Han and Leia and Chewie and what have you. You know, like that's the thing is that like, okay, well, we can tell him now and we can absolutely shoot any chance he has against Vader in the dick. Or we wait and pray this kid makes it out alive. At least we have his sister.
How do they know? I guess, never mind. We talked about this. Genetics and shit. But, yeah, not even a gripe. Just kind of like I need to know why, which means I need to see the next movie so I can be like spoon-fed this asinineness, but whatever.
It's so funny. I can't wait. Like knowing how like you've already latched on to the why did they lie to Luke train as early as you have. Like I'm so excited for you to watch Return of the Jedi and hear the bullshit that gets spewed. It's remarkable. I almost tried to say phenomenal or remarkable and almost said phenomenal. I almost like John Travolta at the Oscar, you know, Adele Dazeem. You remember that?
I don't.
He was like hammered at the Oscars. And this was like 2016. It was like whenever Frozen came out. And he was introducing Idina Menzel to sing Let It Go.
Yeah.
And he was like, introducing the one and only, the wickedly talented Adele Dazeem.
I remember the wickedly talented part.
Yeah. Idina Menzel, he went, Adele Dazeem. It's one of my favorite moments of live television ever.
That's what Scientology will do to you, folks.
Yeah. Man animal.
I'm also a little curious. I don't have to spend too much more time on it, but like, no. I'm curious why Obi-Wan waited like 3 years to be like, find Yoda.
Again, I think that there's a lot of like weird Force stuff that explains that. I don't have all the answers for you.
I know it's not fair to me to just. I look at you a lot with my questions, and like you like.
I'd like to think I'm normally there, like I'm Johnny on the spot with a good answer, but this really, I don't really have one. You know, there's kind of that element of it's what the plot demanded.
Yeah, you're right.
And there's also, again, like you can get into like the Jedi mysticism of like Obi-Wan needed Luke to train himself for a little bit, and you know, you there's any number of ways you could justify it.
Yeah.
Plus, you can say that, you know, that was where Obi-Wan's like post-mortem training as a Force ghost, like this suit, like now he can like the moment he was able to like manifest physically in the Force is when he appeared to Luke for the first time, and that other than that, he was trying to conjure that ability to do so.
I can get behind that. Yeah, less angry.
Okay.
Much, yeah.
There's a lot of stuff this one did not flinch at that I thought was really interesting. I brought up Yoda in the commentary.
Yeah.
It took you 0.5 seconds to just completely buy Yoda.
I don't know, like there wasn't even like
you didn't flinch. You didn't go, oh wow, he's a puppet. Like he's not CG. Like obviously not that you'd think he'd be CGI in the 80s.
Yeah.
But like just the way that you just like didn't miss a beat. You're like, oh hey, Yoda. Did not acknowledge the fact that it was a Muppet. Because he feels so real. He feels this real, movie does not work if that Muppet, if Frank Oz is not killing it as a puppeteer and as an actor at the same time with Yoda, this movie doesn't work.
I agree. As much as part of like the not missing a beat part goes, I think a part of it was I was like inside like it's nice to see an old friend. Like it's nice to just see Yoda.
Yeah.
And like, you know, he's quirky, you know. He's much older than when we last see him.
Really? Found someone I would say you have.
Just a little bit of Scooby-Doo in there.
I don't do the Yoda laugh as well as Spencer does. Like if he was not definitely asleep right now, I'd call him and be like, do the Yoda laugh right now. Just
for the show. It's important.
It's important.
I was just like, I was happy to see him. I was like, this is cool. This is cool.
It seemed like you were enjoying like the Jedi platitudes as well.
I was like,
you know, the Jedi uses the Force for knowledge and defense, never for attack. Try not, do or do not. There is no try.
There was a lot of thinking about like the later movies and how like maybe what the Jedi stand for. And like, Luke even says in the latest ones, like the Jedi suck, basically. Like they need to change and like adapt and things like that. So I was thinking about that a little bit, but then I was like, oh, this is like the beginning. So like, let's not like, let's not dismiss, but let's like, I get it. The Jedi Knights have
But
these
that's the
rules
interesting
and
thing
codes.
is that, like, and again, like within the context of the greater franchise, what we're seeing now is a Yoda who recognizes how far off the beaten path the Jedi ended up because of their participation in the Clone War. And because of that, he is like so very much falling back on these old teachings of like knowledge and defense and feel the force, don't rely on these like your impulses to be a warrior. But by the same token,
He kind of seems like he's over it.
it's not even that I want to.
Not over it, but like,
Okay, he is in the next movie.
he's over it in the next movie.
He's in the next movie. He's in Jedi. Okay, I know you said you didn't want to know, but to fully explain this thought,
Go for it.
there's still a part of him that is like it's wartime, and he's not wrong. Like there's a war going on.
Very correct.
There's very much a war going on. But at no point should the Jedi morality or ideology change depending on whether or not the galaxy is at war. And the way that Yoda engages with Luke and Obi-Wan as well, both are guilty, and show why Luke as a Jedi Master makes the same mistakes they did. Because as much as they want to do the whole, there's an energy field that binds us, penetrates us, pulls, that holds the galaxy together. The force is within you, within me, within the tree, within the rock, within the bugs, within the snakes. Like, as much as they want to do that, like, super Zen force shit, there's a part of them that's still acting like the Clone Wars going on. And there's a part of them that are putting the behaviors that helped create Darth Vader into Luke. Not in like a turned Anakin to the dark side, but just that mentality of like being profoundly hypocritical with that knowledge and defense, never for attack. Like their rhetoric to Luke is very much like, you do realize you have to kill your father, right? And that like every version, any version of the Jedi or the rebellion winning, any version of the Empire being defeated, any version of like the galaxy being saved from the Empire in their minds involves Luke killing Vader. And just how like at its core antithetical to Jedi ideology that is. Yeah. And that's not to get into like the argument as to whether or not Vader is worthy of redemption or anything like that. Like that like it's beside the point that like the Jedi ideology is so malleable and so inconsistent with this era of Jedi.
Like the ones that were in the Clone Wars.
Yeah, the ones that served in the Clone Wars.
Cool.
That like that is why like when you say that he's over it, I think it's more to do with the fact that when he sees Luke, he sees Anakin.
Okay.
And the terror that comes with that, where it's like Yoda has like Yoda holds himself responsible for what happened, but doesn't realize what behaviors got us to the Jedi Purge.
That's so surprising. Homie's had years.
He has had years.
He's lived through generations of Jedi.
He's also had years to be super stuck in his ways. He's had centuries to become super stuck in it.
Just throwing shit right back at me. Damn, that's too quick. When I think of like the Jedi and the Sith, the light and the dark of like the Force, and how they're always saying balance and shit like that. Okay.
That is a very misleading term. There is, in my opinion, in my interpretation of the Force, which to some extent, from what I've heard George Lucas and Dave Filoni talk about, I base what I say off of what they have said.
Yeah.
And I have said stuff that I've later heard regurgitated by them, not knowing that was their read and opinion. And while, yes, death of the author is very important. And just because a writer or creator says a thing doesn't mean that's necessarily the case. There are instances where if you read certain interpretations into a text, that it is valid. I think when you're trying to explain something like, and I'm using this term very deliberately, when you're trying to explain something like a magic system, I don't think there's room for death of the author there. I think that you kind of need to take like the creator of that magic system at face value until someone else working within that same franchise or media does your magic system better. So that said, the way I always try to explain it is that there's two types of balance. There's personal balance, and then there is like the balance of the force, capital B, capital F.
Okay.
Personal balance is recognizing that you have your demons, you have those emotions that lead to the dark side. You recognize them, you see them in yourself, and you understand that you need to keep them in check. They're always going to be a part of you. They're always going to be in there. You cannot effectively purge them from who you are. But they're a part of who you are, and it is your job to regulate yourself. And then you have the Jedi of the Clone Wars, of that era, of the prequel era, who take that advice and take it to mean I don't have emotions now and do this really stoic bullshit, which is how you get like incredibly repressed people like Anakin Skywalker, like Barriss Offee, who fall to the dark side because they just keep that shit right here. And they're told they have to keep it right here all the goddamn time.
Yeah.
Personal balance is I feel angry, but I'm not going to lash out in anger. Balance in the force, capital B, capital F, is the natural order of things within the universe. So balance, and people like to do, Anakin brought balance, 2 Sith, 2 Jedi. No. The Sith ideology and philosophy inherently leads to the domination of nature and its will. Sith ideology comes down to, I want thing A, but thing B exists and thing A doesn't. I'm going to break thing B into thing A because I want it. I'm going to bend the will of nature, of the galaxy, of the force to what I want it to be, to have my way and exert my power over it. That is not compatible with nature as it is. So when you talk about balance, the dark side will always exist. Darkness will always exist unto itself. But more often than not, users and followers and practitioners of the dark side and any type of dark side faith or religion is going to run antithetical to the light side into that quest for balance, because their entire ideology and philosophy is built around conquering nature.
Okay.
So balance more often than not means dark side institutions don't stick around that long. Something like the Sith, like the Empire, that like flagrantly spit in the face of nature and balance. Does any of what I just said make sense?
It makes sense.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about things Yoda said, just as far as like Jedi principles and like, the force for knowledge and
Knowledge and defense.
and defense. But like Vader has to die. Like, sure, we know that like he's saved or whatever, like before, whatever. But like, it's a little deeper than I thought it was. Granted, you're quite knowledgeable. So when you drop knowledge,
I like to think so.
I'm like, okay, digestion. However, it's not like it makes sense. About the Jedi at least being like extremely hypocritical. I mean, that's like what the whole fucking prequels were about.
Yeah.
Essentially. So like,
and a lot of that, again, 2 years from now, we'll be doing this about the sequel trilogy. This is why people who bitch about Luke in The Last Jedi, I have to have a moment where I'm like, you're not engaging with the text of Star Wars as deeply as you claim to be. Because this behavior, this line of thought is established with Obi-Wan and Yoda in the original trilogy. Like, one of my favorite things to point out ever, Obi-Wan refers to being a Jedi in the past tense all throughout A New Hope.
I was a Jedi.
I was once a Jedi Knight, the same as your
Yeah.
father. Shit like that, where it's like, again, like I think Obi-Wan still considers himself a Jedi and like a follower of the Jedi code? Yes.
Yeah.
But like, when he thinks Jedi, he's thinking of this like, high adventure, swashbuckling, General Kenobi, the arrival of Asajj Ventress and General Grievous. Like, he's thinking of like, when he thinks of the Jedi, it's this like order of warriors who were never supposed to be warriors.
What? They have to be not okay. They're peacekeepers.
Peacekeepers.
A watchful protector. So, like, at what point do you stop watching?
No, that's the thing. And again, like, we can have I want to have this this is a conversation that is
this is
better suited for
philosophical
Knights of the Nerd for Knights of the Nerd Republic, that is kind of dedicated to the deep dive Star Wars conversations. But that's what Mace Windu says in Attack of the Clones. We're keepers of the peace, not soldiers. Where it's like, we're here to like help stabilize a conflict. And there's also the entire argument you can be making that the Jedi acting as a pseudo paramilitary force for the Galactic Republic is the moment they fall apart.
I have like,
and that towing the line that you can say you're not you can say that you're not acting as the Republic's military arm. You absolutely are.
They 100% are. Like
just because you're not at war yet does not mean that, this is a very complex conversation about like the overarching like downfall and pitfalls of the Jedi. This is a very complex conversation to be had about the Jedi there. And
that's so interesting. Like, the last thing you said was easily like the thing that made the most sense to me. Like, as far as like, as soon as they began like acting like through not like orders, but like, in that sort of scenario of like intervening.
And again, you can make the argument that when, with great power comes great responsibility. If you can help stop calamities and wars with the power of the Force in the name of pacifism and protecting people, there's kind of an obligation to do that. But also, it's easier to do that when you have the Republic able to organize and fund this kind of thing. It's a very complex thing with the Jedi. And it makes Yoda's teachings like bringing it back to The Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah.
It makes what Yoda is saying here both incredibly profound, incredibly insightful to the lore and the mythos of the Jedi, but also with the knowledge of the prequels and the knowledge of the galaxy at large beyond just the movies. There's at least for me as a fan, there's a part of me that can't help but go, you talk a good game.
Yeah.
And you almost had me fooled. But you, sir, are a war hawk. And have been since Geonosis, and you know it. Like, there's a part of me, like, again, and I joke on nights all the time where I'm like, fuck Yoda, fuck Mace Windu. There's a like so much of the problem with the Jedi Order comes from these two, and it comes from that like grandfathered in. Like Yoda's like a part of the greatest generation with the High Republic, where it's just that like, it's like in the real world where there was a whole thing about like, that recorded history ends in the 90s, right? That like we are past the point of like the world changing in any real big way, and the arrogance that hit the Western world in the United States especially, and all of its geopolitical exploits, that the Jedi Order, don't look at me, you're gonna throw me off, don't grin at me like that.
Sorry.
That the Jedi Order like has that same level of hubris, where it's like we beat the Sith, we beat the Nihil, we're here, we are the protectors of the galaxy. Fuck around and find out. And for a pacifist court of peacekeeping space wizard monks, fuck around and find out really should not be a part of your MO. It's more like mess around and we'll let you know. Should be, not like granted, like those things mean the same thing, but they're different. But yeah, no, at least for me, he's like a hardcore fan, like beyond the movies, Clearly, I think Star Wars is deeper than Lightsaber Go Burr. It's a kid's movie. It is a kid's movie, and it is Lightsaber Go Burr, but there's more if you want there to be. That is how I latch on to what Yoda's saying, is that there's a part of me that's just loving, as a fan, feel the Force around you. Like, Yoda. And there's part of me that's like, knows way too much about this shit. I'm like, Yoda.
I think like out the gate, those are like solid teachings.
They are,
as far as like the basic
and
principles
he's absolutely
of the Jedi
right.
goes.
He's absolutely right, but he has to square that with what he did in his tenure as Grandmaster of the Jedi Order. And I think that because he's dealing with Obi-Wan and Yoda who don't quite see exactly where they fucked up, is how we end up in this all happening again. Like the seeds for Luke failing as a Grandmaster were sown in what you just watched. It's like poetry. It rhymes. Darth Vader.
Still badass.
Like you love Vader, and he did not, like, comparatively did not do a whole lot in the last movie.
Like an Empire?
In A New Hope. Like compared to the Empire, Vader does not have as much to do.
Dude, I said in the auto commentary, like, not to give it all away, but like anytime an officer or anyone just gives this guy any like sass, or like not even sass, like a but sir, like a blah 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 and blah blah blah. I just like the nuts that these guys had, like the cojones to just like, what that dude is. That's a walking like death machine. And like, I'm so into him. Like, he makes me forget Palpatine exists, which I get is like the point, because like we haven't exactly been like properly introduced to Palpatine, and it still feels grounded in that like central. Well, I can say it feels grounded because I knew that like Skywalkers. But like now that the cat's out of the bag, it's very just like I am so sucked into this like core. I don't know what the hell to call it. It's just like the franchise.
You're like
I'm
out
sorry.
of
I'm getting hella
like,
comfortable.
Completely. You're okay. I looked over and I realized you're just like completely off screen, just like Skywalkers.
These fucking Skywalkers. I like.
Welcome to the fandom. Because you finally said the sentence. These fucking Skywalkers.
Yeah. I love Vader. Like his presence. Like when the door opened.
Funny.
He is
and
funny.
He's funny.
He's like wicked.
Like people who complained about like, be careful not to choke on your aspirations, director. And Rogue One is like, why is Vader making jokes? Again, it's like, I don't think you understand this franchise as well as you claim to, because Vader's doing a stand-up set through most of Empire Strikes Back.
I accept.
Apology accepted, Captain Nita. Admiral Oswald thought it would be more effective if we got them by surprise. He's as clumsy as he is stupid. He's talking to Lando. He's like, I'm altering the deal. Pray I don't alter it any further. Like, it's just like that cold, like, it's like he's he's entertaining himself.
He's so
he's like he's in like there's a like Darth Vader is a joyless human being. Like, there is nothing he has left in life aside from the opportunity at Luke. But like, there's just parts of Anakin that can't die, and it's that dry ass sense of humor that's one of them. That like you like again, like when you go back and you watch the prequels and you watch the Clone Wars especially, like it is not a surprise the way that like Vader interacts with some of these people, because you got to figure a lot of like the Imperial Navy are holdovers from the Republic Navy, and like the high command of the Republic Navy existed before the clones. So that's why we still have like normal like humans who are part of the Imperial High Command that Vader knows. That like he's like, I've known all of you, and y'all don't know who I am.
Yeah,
because next to nobody knows that Darth Vader and Anakin Skywalker are the same person.
That's a good point.
Like the only people in like the only people in like the centralized Imperial Command who know who he is are Tarkin, Grand Admiral Thrawn, and the Emperor. And Tarkin and Thrawn just they figured it out.
Oh,
because they had spent so much time with Anakin that like the sequence of events, they kind of put two and two together. And like Thrawn went on like an adventure with Anakin, and because his whole thing is that he's basically like evil Star Wars Sherlock Holmes, that like he eventually put it together, and it's a phenomenal book. And again, any Star Wars book, listen to the audiobook version because it's just way more entertaining. Throughout the entire book, he like keeps periodically bringing up. He's like, during the Clone Wars, they had a run-in with Anakin Skywalker. And he just keeps bringing it up to Vader.
I'm surprised he didn't fucking kill him.
Because there are certain people that are off limits for Vader to do that to, including technically Tarkin. The last movie outranked Vader. Like he was higher up in the chain of command than Vader was technically, at least in that setting.
Right.
That like
I was about to have a problem.
That's why Tarkin was able to be like, "Will you stop?" when he was choking out Mahdi.
I like this franchise. I'm liking it more.
There's
and
a whole
more
book.
and
There's a
more.
whole book about Tarkin that's canon. I own it. If you want to borrow it.
Thinking about it. I'm not much of a reader, but
well, again, I highly recommend the audiobook. We're not sponsored by Audible. We'd love to be. So get that Audible free trial.
Come on down.
I can't say use, promo code TNAP, but one of these days.
One of these days. That sounds nice.
Promo code TNAP.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't it?
Manifest
promo code TNAP. Everybody comment promo code TNAP. Make it happen. Bring it. Reach out with the Force and make it so. Not make it so. That's a Star Trek thing. I'm going to stop talking. But yeah, no, just like Vader, just dropping the Imperial officers. He's so vicious.
I'm grateful there's like another movie with Vader in it. Because like at this point, I need more. Like I'm thinking about like watching Rogue One. Like if I can't sleep tonight or something, just to get like some more Vader.
Season 2 of Star Wars Rebels, Vader's like the main antagonist for it.
Mm-hmm.
He is incredible in that season.
You think like they got him right?
Yeah.
All right, cool.
Vader steals the show.
That's sweet.
Absolutely steals the show at every episode he's in
That's
season 2.
That's freaking sweet. I like that. I want to suck him off too hard, but I could just watch him all day. I could just
if you want like a Vader reading list, I can hook you up.
I'm thinking
if you
about
want
it.
more Vader content,
I'm like riding the high of having watched the movie. So like I'm very optimistic and on board.
if you want Legends, like it's not canon anymore, but it's still a great story. Dark Lord: The Rise of Darth Vader picks up right after Revenge of the Sith, pretty much.
That I'm interested in.
There's also a canon comic book run that takes place during that same time. It's not the same as Rise of Darth Vader because,
Yeah.
canon reset. Another great story about Vader and Palpatine together is called Star Wars Lords of the Sith. That is canon. Again, another one. Highly recommend the audiobook. Promo code TNAP.
One day.
One day, baby. But Han and Leia.
I like it. I do. As you can tell by the name, it's so funny. It's funny. It's funny, and it's just like, okay, oh, cool. When you said it was 3 years in between like the last movie and now, I was very surprised to have seen like not as much as a maturity happened in like the romantic relationships as I thought there was going to be, which I'm fine with. They love each other. Cool. We're there. I like that. Yeah. Baby boy. I also just love their banter. It's just like, I don't find it distracting. I don't find it too humorous. I don't find it trying to be something. I see it as like,
I'd rather kiss the Wookiee. I can arrange that. He
Yeah.
can use a good kiss.
all of it worked, which is like, I don't want to say rare, but like,
I will say, because typically stories like this are kind of told from the male gaze, that romance scenes like them in the one room on the Falcon, like you normally hear like guys go, "Oh, that was a great scene," and women be like, "Woof," at that kind of thing. This is the like 100,000th time I've seen that scene. The first time, essentially, for you, and both of us were just like,
yeah,
like, he's like me
into it.
scoundrel. That it's like it's sexy. Like
There's
there's no
fun.
other way to describe it. Like it's just a sexy scene.
It's fun. They sell it, so I am like, don't bat an eye. I'm all about it.
Like that scene is hot. It is, and
I agree with you. Keep going.
I don't know. Like this episode comes out 2 weeks later than we record it. Maybe I'm tipping my hand too much. Keep an eye on the social media.
Whatever.
But everything will make sense soon enough. But like, I don't know. Maybe that's a mean thing that I'm like, damn.
Yeah, the whole time I was
But,
just like, that is 100% like Han Solo. Like that is him. That is him navigating flirtatious like banter with her. And
you're gonna be
like,
so satisfied with his full arc.
I believe
Like
it.
by the time we get to Jedi, like Han just feels like such a well-rounded character. Same with Luke and Leia.
I want to see what happens with Leia next. I'm like, I need to know how it falls apart, but we're talking about this.
You're not going to see that.
They don't ever talk about it.
They talk about it in passing in like The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi and The Rise of Skywalker, but like we don't really see their relationship deteriorate.
No. I thought we were talking about like the revelation that she's a Skywalker.
Oh, that. Oh, yeah, that's fun.
Okay,
cool. It is not a big moment.
The Force is not. I'm sure the payoff's not. It's not as big as like I'm your father or whatever, but like,
no,
it's still just
it's actually really funny. It's one of the moments that like it's like George Lucas so badly wanted to like give us all of this context with the prequels, and then like inadvertently create situations that make no goddamn sense because of it, that we will see in Jedi. Like, slight spoiler, Leia talks about remembering her mother.
Oh, wonder how she can do that.
And again, that's the wonders of Star Wars. You can do some Force bullshit. You go like, she like senses through the Force, blah, 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 remembers Padme. You can do some Force bullshit and hand wave it away but also,
but also. All right.
but no, yeah, Han and Leia, love them.
Han
I
and
love you. I
I'm
know,
so
iconic.
So into it.
So I have shied away from telling this story because, from what I understand, there has a little bit of contradiction about it.
Okay.
But the tall tale, the legend of the "I love you, I know" scene is that when they originally shot the scene, it was scripted. You know, he's getting lowered. I love you. I love you too. It was originally how it was scripted. They tried it, didn't work. And they spent hours just trying to run this one scene and give Han a line that felt like Han.
Yeah. Did Harrison figure it out?
And some people say it was Irvin Kershner. Some people say it was Harrison. Some people say it was Carey. There's so many different versions of this. But from what I understand, the consensus is that I Love You, I Know is in part improvised and ad-libbed.
That's sweet.
And that that is Han's reaction. And I said it in the audio commentary. And I have a friend of mine who's like just now watching these movies for the first time. And they were like, oh yeah, like my friend was a little disappointed I wasn't super into I Love You, I Know. And I was like, yeah. And I explained what I said in the audio commentary. We're like, Han, I don't think is I think he is so afraid in that moment that saying I love you too to her is an admission of this being goodbye. And I think there's a part of him that is too proud, that wears that bravado mask a little too tightly, that he is not capable of telling her goodbye in front of Vader, in front of Boba Fett, in front of Lando. That it's like, I'm not going to give you the satisfaction of me going into this thinking it's over. And that there's kind of like a defiant, like, I'm not telling her goodbye in front of you because for all you know, this isn't goodbye. I'm coming right back after all y'all's asses. And that there's also just for Han, because of that bravado, that like there's a part of him that is afraid to say goodbye because he might be right.
Yeah.
So I know is the only response he has.
I liked it.
Yeah.
It wasn't the most romantic thing I'd ever seen, but I liked
on
it.
spec, you know. Yeah, and again, like there's that documentary I was telling you about, that Empire of Dreams. It's like the making of the original trilogy.
Yeah.
Where like there's this one aside from one of the contributors to it that like might be the sexiest thing I've ever seen in a movie in my life. I love you. I know.
Yeah.
Woo!
Yeah. That's pretty sweet.
That shit's metal, man. Like that's
the fact
cool
that
as
it's
hell.
like ad lib too. I like that. I like that a lot.
I'm glad you do.
I liked Lando too. I appreciate not his arc, but like his purpose rather in the script. Like I get it, I understand it. I didn't have any problems with it. Luke kind of just touched on it a little bit, but like he's not like a scene stealer, I would say.
I think Mark Hamill has a profoundly good performance in that he just escapes into the world around him.
Yeah, I don't think it's anything to do with his acting necessarily.
No, but that's what I'm saying, though, is I think it has everything to do with his acting. I think that he is so Luke Skywalker in these moments. Because, like, we even said, like, at the very beginning, it was like Harrison Ford is acting his ass off. But when Luke is on screen and it's all the Force stuff, the outside world melts away, and it's Star Wars. And it's the story of this young Jedi. You know what I mean? Is it like, I think he's really good at like letting the facade completely envelop the scenes he's in. And it doesn't hurt that almost all of Mark Hamill's scenes in this movie, save for the beginning stuff on Hoth, he does not have like an actual person to bounce off of.
Yeah,
it's either just
that's
him or
sweet.
R2, or it's him and Yoda, or it's him and Vader. You know,
Tough.
like he has the hardest job as a performer in this movie. Because he
Yeah,
either gets a trash can, a Muppet, or, like
Yeah.
18 layers of plastic that he's trying to like communicate with. That doesn't even sound the way it's going to sound whenever he gets to
No.
it, because that's David Prowse or the fencer they brought in to do the Vader fights. So like either he's bouncing off of David Prowse, who does not sound anything like James Earl Jones, or is going off of like the stunt swordsman, who again, like you're not hearing the bassy, like, good, release your anger. Only your hatred can destroy me.
Mhm.
Like you're getting like, release your anger. Only your hatred can destroy me. Like you don't you don't have like the gravitas, those moments where, so much of everything he's doing relies on the special effects and the performances around him. Lifting rocks, R2 beeping and shit, Yoda moving around, again, levitating, the lightsabers, like, all the like foam buzzing out from the carbon freezing chamber. Like there's so much going on around him that is like rooted in him being the only real person in the room. That I think like he melts into the world because of it. Is I think that's why he's not, quote, a like exactly a scene stealer.
Yeah. I enjoy him. I just enjoy, I think, other aspects of the movie, or maybe him interacting with other things more than others. No gripes.
Which is valid.
Just-
yeah, for sure. I'm not trying to say that your opinion is wrong either. I'm just
No.
like, I think there's like a unspoken beauty to his performance as Luke Skywalker in this movie in particular.
That is like challenging, like to say the least. But it looks great. It looks really good. Like
1980.
Like, wow.
This looks better than shit that came out in 2010.
There's
some shit that's come out in 2010 that this looks better than.
$33 million. How the hell? Like, whew. Good for you guys.
There's so much new stuff.
Yeah.
Like they didn't rely on like a whole lot of like art and designs from the last movie. Like,
no.
Like we see the Rebellion fleet, like we're seeing those ships a lot of those ships for the first time, all new walkers, all new fighters, all new sets, from Hoth to Dagobah to Bespin, the interior of the Star Destroyers. Like there's a lot of new shit that they all just like across the board,
Thinking about Anakin's lightsaber.
Yeah.
Like I remember I was questioning it whenever like The Force Awakens came out. But now I'm just like seeing that scene again. I'm just like, how the hell? I don't know. I'm sure there's some like ridiculous story of someone finding it.
We have the very beginning of the story, and we know nothing else to my knowledge. And it's just like in the same way Luke ended up in one of those little chutes. The hand ended up in one of those chutes.
Yeah.
And somebody was like, "Oh, a hand. Ooh, lightsaber." We don't know who it was that found it, though. They were just wearing a cloak.
Fair enough.
Who it was.
Not something I'm going to choose to look too much into from now on.
Is that all you got?
I think so, man. There's nothing else I'm dying to like articulate or anything about that. I just I was glued. I was paying attention. I was fascinated. I laughed. I yelped at one point. I was just I was having so much fun, and I'm very excited to watch Return of the Jedi now. And I just
as far as highlights in the audio commentary, Vader showing up in the dining hall got a big reaction. Also, Vader levitating in the carbon freezing chamber.
Oh my god! When he's just
you were. I think that's like you were like visibly afraid of Vader. Like, can you imagine having like Vader's like
what, like 7'1"?
no, that's all.
Chewbacca's got to be like.
Uh,
6'7".
yeah,
and a
Darth
half.
Vader is 6'7.5". Can you imagine
That's ridiculous.
And like the heavy black armor, lightsaber out, flying across the room at you.
I've always like he traditionally moves like so not slow, but like clunky, heavy.
Yeah.
He has to do the Batman cowl turn around,
Yeah.
shit like that. But like whenever he does decide to just be like, you know what, Luke, I'm kind of sick of this. And he just treats him, like you were saying, just like every other lolly Joe that like I've killed hundreds of Jedis, whatever. Like when he starts like going at it, I was just like in that moment, finally just like, oh, he's not that clunky. He's very strong.
There's a reason why you're a Jedi killer.
Yeah, he's strong, fast. And then, dude, like that big MFer should not be able to move as fast as he did, just like levitating down a staircase.
Yeah, like that's
coming at you. Like,
yeah, like that's that intimidation tactic. And then like again, like when we get to the end of the fight, what I was saying in the audio commentary was like Vader is testing Luke for almost this entire fight. This is a test. He wants to see how Luke handles fighting someone so far above his weight class. Again, Luke is like, in terms of power and skill, I'd say like mid to high tier Padawan. Darth Vader at this point has killed members of the Jedi Council.
Yeah.
Like he is the greatest Jedi killer of all time. So Vader is letting Luke have fun. Like if Vader was like giving it his all, Luke does not score that little kick in the carbon freezing chamber, right? When he like kicks him off the platform.
Mm-hmm.
That does not happen if this isn't Darth Vader's kid, right? And it's that moment where they're finally on the catwalk where Vader, and again, like little nugget, he was holding his breath.
Yeah, just to sneak up on him.
Drop on Luke.
I was thinking about, you son of a gun. I was just like this poor bastard could never sneak up on anyone. And then he did it.
And it's the way that like Vader uses his respirator in two different directions as an intimidation tactic. Because it's when they're in like before he throws Luke out of the window, he deliberately takes a deep breath to scare Luke. Where he comes out of the shadows just and kicks the shit on, and Luke's like, oh hell, and like turns around and like, but then here, like he lets Luke come to him and then and just jumps out at him, like kicks on the saber and just out of nowhere. Like Vader is such a brilliant tactician.
But no, I yelped like a child when he just like Doctor Strange's way like down the staircase. I was like, oh shit, run. Like that got me. Every time he showed up in like a spectacular fashion, I was just like incredibly audible about it.
There's a theatricality to him that is absolutely Anakin in there still. But yeah, just that moment where he's like, okay, we're done now.
Yeah.
That he just,
sparring match is done.
Yeah, he's like, we're taking the training wheels off now.
Yeah.
And by that I mean I'm cutting your hand off because I'm bored. But Luke's still able to score like one clean hit off of his shoulder, which is impressive, on someone who isn't a walking tank covered in metal, who has, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of different types of painkillers pumping through him at all times. And,
think about that shit.
On like on a normal opponent, that may have been a disabling strike.
Damn. Oh my god.
Like he could have ended the fight with that hit, especially on that bridge. That hit, drop your lightsaber, falls off the bridge.
See ya.
You've effectively disarmed your opponent. Fight's over. What are they going to do? Jump? Luke? Anyway, final thoughts and letter grade, good friend.
Final thoughts, like not many series I think have an incredibly strong sequel. Just like duh. Like look at how many things fail, but like so far like it was like I think it was better than A New Hope for me. Right now, I plan on going back and like act like by myself, being able to sit down, watch, listen, digest, whatever, like forming real solid opinions outside of just seeing it once every 10, 15 years, whatever. But for right now, I love this. I love this movie. Like this is like a good movie. I just appreciated it so much. Like the attention to detail, the writing, the acting, the story, the pacing. 2 hours and 4 minutes. Dude, I don't think so. Like, this movie was hauling ass, and I was, like, down. I was very...
This movie was hauling ass.
This movie was hauling ass, and I was, like, totally enjoying it. I really like this movie. I'm so excited for the next one. As far as a letter grade goes, like, I hope I don't kick myself later, because I'm still, like, you know, riding the high of, like, just seeing it. But, like... A, 2, maybe A+, like whatever like a 97% is. Like I don't have any real problems with the movie. I wish Luke would have like mentioned to someone he was going to Dagobah, but like I get it. I okay. I will accept it and not think about it too hard from now on. Everything else, though, every other part.
Isn't it the weird thing about Star Wars as a franchise? As my Padawan here,
Yeah,
like there are some elements of Star Wars that you're just not supposed to think too hard about, and then there's other shit that is like so complex, morally, ethically, philosophically that you're like again, we can have the conversation we had about the Force, but also. Just don't think about the fact that he didn't tell anyone where he was going.
Like, it bothers me. Like, it wasn't like you had a plan. You were going to rendezvous there after, especially that you know shit's going to go down. And you don't tell, like, your two best friends or, like, people that are actually, like, fuck the friendships. Like, people running the show.
Yeah.
And you're also, like, very important. You just don't say anything.
He's a part of Rebel High Command.
Like, you just... and
Commander Skywalker.
They're not once ever on like the Falcon, just like anyone know if he got out all right?
Does anybody know what the hell Luke is doing, by the way?
Like they just realize
again
with Lando that they're the bait, which like
I think the hilarious thing is I think both sides of this adventure assume the other one got to the rendezvous without issue.
Yeah.
Because like
no.
Luke has no reason to be like, I sure hope the Millennium Falcon's hyperdrive is working.
Yeah.
And they have no reason to go, I hope Luke didn't just decide to go AWOL into like, you know, East Kabumfuck of the galaxy.
That's kind of like, how long was he there with Yoda? Do you think?
A few weeks.
A few weeks.
Canonically, they take a few weeks to get Asteroid Field, Cloud City, and he spends that time while they're traveling over the course of like 2 or 3 weeks with
they're in an asteroid field for over a week,
something like that. I think they maybe spend a couple days in the asteroid field, and then the rest of that is the trek to Bespin because again they can't make the jump to light speed and like make that a couple hours.
I'm glad you're here because I would have been like,
and that's what I'm saying because that's what gives Boba Fett that like so Boba Fett's able to go okay. He's looking at what's nearby as well. Yeah, he's like Bespin. Cloud City. Lando's running that. He's going to see Lando.
Yeah.
And able to just and beat him there and bring the Empire so that they can get the drop on Han and Leia.
Not gonna lie, dude, the couple weeks thing just makes me angrier. Like Luke has no idea what he's going to Dagobah for. No idea. He has no idea how long he's supposed to be there for. Like, Yoda wants him to stay much longer. You're going to disappear for a year?
Not tell anybody.
What if you fucking lose in that time?
What if the Empire just wins?
What if the Empire just wins while you're hacking it up with Yoda? Like, your ship's gone. You can't communicate with anyone.
Han, Leia, Mon Mothma all have been executed.
I'm getting like
publicly by the
dangerously
Empire.
close to an A- right now. I'm getting kind of mad. Like, oh my god,
Yo,
it gets an A.
You're getting angry with Luke as a character.
It's just, well, like, still, like, I think it could have been resolved. Like, hey guys, Han, thanks for saving me, man. Thanks for going out there looking for me. Also, I got some weird message of something I should probably check out.
Part of it is that I don't think he is comfortable being like, hey guys, I promise I'm not dealing with a head injury from the Wampa. Don't laugh. Don't laugh, Han. I'm fucking serious.
Don't you think Han would believe at this point?
No. Han does not believe in the Force. Like, that's his whole thing in A New Hope. So, like, Luke trying to be like, right before you came to me, I was talking to Ben. At which point Han and Leia go, you mean Obi-Wan Kenobi, the dead man? His ghost came to me in the blizzard. Put him back in the bacta tank, please. Like, that is how that conversation goes down. Is that I don't think Luke can, like, look them in the eyes and expect them to believe all the Force mumbo jumbo.
Well, then just do the normal bullshit of, like, I think I might have to check out this thing before I go. I don't know. Just got a feeling. And everyone's going to be like, oh, he's got another feeling, but like, okay.
All right, like, Death Star boy, we'll let it slide.
We'll let it slide. Have fun with the Muppet. Like, it just irks me. It's just like very little.
Do you think, I don't think he thought he would be there that long.
No, like, I don't think he knew he was
like,
going to like a training camp.
And everyone's like, you must seek out Yoda. He can help train you. I think there's a part of Luke that's like, yeah, I'm going to find him. I'm going to say, hey. And I'm like, hey, I'll be back in a ship that, like, you can come on board.
Yeah.
But also there's the fact that, like, again, nobody tells Luke jack shit. Yoda can't leave Dagobah.
Why?
So Dagobah as a world is, like, incredibly rooted in the dark side. Like, there's that cave and everything. Like, Dagobah is just kind of entrenched in the dark side of the Force. Yoda, that is like the only planet in the galaxy Yoda can effectively hide on without, like, his presence in the Force just screaming out to somebody who would be looking for him. Somebody, like, familiar with his presence in the Force, like Vader or Palpatine, that, like, he has to hide his, like the brightness of his presence in the Force in such, like, a dark, mucky toilet bowl that is Dagobah, that, like, that's his only option. So, like, if Yoda left Dagobah, he's like one instance of Vader or Sidious going, he's a little shit alive. Oh no! Yeah. Oh no! Everybody, send everybody.
SOS.
Right now. Like, we need, like, blow shit up, kill the little green fuck.
Okay, I will give you that I don't think Luke knew how long he'd be there for.
And things worked out that his friends were also on a weird adventure.
It's still, like, it doesn't, like, when we talk about it, it bothers me. When I think about the movie, it doesn't bother me.
That's Star Wars.
So A. It
That's
gets
Star
an A.
Wars for you.
It gets highly ranked for me. I hope I don't look back at this and I'm just like, you idiot. Like, whatever. But I don't think I will.
I don't think you're going to look back and say that you gave The Empire Strikes Back too high a score.
Okay.
I think if anything, you're going to want to give it a higher score retroactively.
I'm kind of eager to you're not watching it again. But
Hey, all I'm saying, the movie we're watching next is my second favorite Star Wars movie of all time.
Is your first A New Hope?
My first is The Last Jedi.
Oh, we still need to talk about that. That's for another time on another show. But
it's The Empire Strikes Back. It's an A+. I have no qualms with saying that. Bias be damned. This is this frequently referred to as one of the greatest movies of all time. I have zero qualms with saying A+. Devin, where can the lovely people find you, my friend?
guys, you can follow me on Instagram at Devin J. Armel, and you can follow me on Twitter at Devin Armel1. Where can we find you, bro?
You guys can find me on Twitter and Instagram. You guys can find me on Twitter and Instagram at DarkJedi2552. You can find the Nerd Academy podcast on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and on our website, www.thenerdacademypodcast.com, where, if you're feeling generous, you can donate to our Patreon page. Speaking of our patrons, thank you to our $10 alumnus, the people who get this show a week early. Case and Brion, the Waffle Wizard, Delta 9, and Zach. And now, so you guys help us make the content that we love to produce. To the $10 patrons who are hearing this at time of upload, which will be on May 28th, when you guys are hearing this, everything on the TeePublic is on sale currently. I have 35% off sale going on the Nerd Academy Student Store link. So go check that out. Get all manner of Nerd Academy merch and goodies. I got an extra shirt and a tank top today. Go get some stuff. Also, consider the $5 tier where you get the audio commentaries that we talk about all the time, as well as the Knights of the Nerd Republic Versus series, which we will be recording on the Tuesday after Memorial Day, and Heroic History 101, which we will also be back with a new episode of very soon. Be sure to like, comment, share, subscribe, do all the things. Thank you so much for listening. May the Force be with you, and cut.
Stop! Move away from the cookie jar!